Well, Bucks fans, you should be pleased now. After this organization couldn't wait a few years ago to run Lovie Smith out of town the first chance even though he had shown improvement from season 1 to season 2, you found out what you had in Dirk Cutter, which was not crap. Not crap. But he's gone now. And a better offensive-minded head coach of Bruce Arians has been hired. As you're trying to, in year number 5 of the Jameis Winston experience, find out if he can actually be that dude or not. If he's actually going to play like a franchise-level quarterback for the first time in his career. Or if you're going to have some serious conversations about changing as an organization and moving past Jameis Winston, moving on to the next chapter. We can already see some of the moving on to the next chapter by the firing of Dirk Cutter, allowing Fitzpatrick to leave in free agency, Gerald McCoy, getting rid of him. There's change abound, and frankly, there needed to be change abound in Tampa because they just weren't a very good team. I totally understand the hiring of Bruce Arians, even though he was at the end of his rope there in Arizona. You bring him into a situation, you don't have the luxury at this moment if you're the Buccaneers to sit there and wait 2 or 3 years and find a younger guy and try. You need to know right away. And Bruce Arians is the type of guy that you could believe in coming into a situation and turning it around right away. Like, you need to know this year if Jameis Winston is that guy or not. Not next year, not 2 years from now. You need to know now. You must know now. Like, finding out what you have in Jameis Winston is more important than winning games this year. Like, if Jameis Winston plays as a legit Pro Bowl level quarterback, but your team finishes 6-10, then you at least maybe have a feeling that Jameis Winston is your guy long term. And even though the season might not have went the way that you wanted, at least you know that you have your quarterback. And you can make a decision about how much money and how long you're going to invest in Jameis Winston long term. This is the season, though. You got to find it out. You look at the draft. It was interesting. They went very heavy on the defensive side of the ball, which makes some sense because they were just a bad team last year. Hard to pass on Devin White, the linebacker from LSU, and with the 5th overall pick. He's a difference maker. He's going to be a game changer in that middle of that defense. I really, really like that selection for them. It was interesting that they spent a couple of additional Marquise day 2 picks on defensive backs, which they did the last year with guys like Carlton Davis and MJ Stewart and so forth. You know, the secondary better be good with the addition of Mike Edwards and Jamal Dean. And if it's not, or Jamel Dean, excuse me, and if it's not, then it really calls into question the ability of that Tampa Bay Buccaneers scouting department front office to be able to scout and evaluate talent specifically in the secondary. That would be concerning. They better be really good this year, because if they're not, then you got to wonder what the fuck's going on here. When I look at this team, what do I like about this team? I look at this from Jameis Winston's standpoint. You've got Bruce Arians. He's an offensive guru to a certain degree. He's a really good quality offensive head coach. He will be able to get the most out of Jameis Winston and this Bucs offense. And then you look at the receiving core. Mike Evans is a legit number 1, an unheralded player to a certain degree, as good as he is. You got Chris Godwin on the other side. I think he's due for a breakout type of season. O.J. Howard is probably due for a breakout type of season at the tight end position. Their receiving core should be really, really good, even with the loss of Deshaun Jackson, no Cameron Brate. I think they will be just fine, especially with Bruce Arians calling the shots. And then defensively, you look at their defensive line. I think their defensive line will be okay with Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. Like, they've got a lot of beef up front. This should be a team that's able to hold up well against the run, and with their front 3 on the defensive line, since they switched to the 3-4 under new coordinator Todd Bowles, should be able to get some pressure from their defensive line. And it's going to be very interesting. Question marks for this team. I look at their defense. Where's the edge rush going to come from? Where's the edge rush? And I found it interesting, too, that they cut Noah Spence, who you would think maybe, if anything, was going to be a natural fit for the 3-4. Man, you want to talk about a guy that a lot of the NFL draft nicks were very, very high on, and he just crapped out. It's crazy how that stuff goes sometimes. But where is that edge rush going to come from? And if you don't get a lot of edge rush from your outside backers in that 3-4, it can really put you in a bad situation with that defensive system. Then I look at the secondary. You have invested a lot of marquee picks in that secondary. Like I mentioned, the Carlton Davises, the MJ Stewarts of the world, before that, Vernon Hargraves as a first-round pick, and then Edwards and Dean. Like, at some point in time, some of these picks have got to manifest themselves into being productive talents. And if not, then that's really, really bad because you have invested a lot in that area and all the while neglected other areas of your team. You better really, really get something out of these guys. That's all I can say. But the biggest question mark of all is going to be Jameis Winston. Sometimes maybe he shows you spurts and flashes, but you look at last year as kind of a disastrous season. You start off the season with a suspension. Fitzpatrick comes in and he's Fitzmagic, and they win a few games, and then it goes back and forth between him and Jameis, kind of the rest of the year. Jameis was never really in a good place, didn't really have a rhythm. Like, it's unquestionably going to be his job, his show this year. And we're in year 5 now. There's no more excuses. There's no more excuses. You were the number 1 overall pick. People were all types of hot and giggly tits on you several years back. It is time to live up to that hype. It is time to live up to that draft position. Because if you don't, then you are a bust, period. They brought in the right type of head coach for you that's going to hold you accountable, not put up with your crap. It's time for Jameis Winston to step up and be the man that he wants to be and pretends to be, and a lot of people maybe believe that he could still be. Looking at this team, I look at early on some of the home games. You got to win all of these. San Francisco, the Giants, Carolina. A little later on in the season, you got Arizona. That's going to be a fascinating game in Tampa Bay. Bruce Arians taking on his old team. You got the Saints, and then you go to Atlanta to take on the Falcons. I look at this and I see a team that with Peyton Barber and Ronald Jones, if they can get some type of running game going, they're going to be able to throw the ball. Their offensive line is solid. Lots of change on the defense, but I think Todd Bowles, the defensive coordinator, is very good. Bruce Arians as a head coach is really good. I think this is at least an 8-win Bucs team. That might only still be good enough for 3rd in the division, but you know what? That's something. That's progress. And if Jameis Winston goes out and plays at a legit Pro Bowl type of level, if you win 8 games, but he plays like that, then you feel better about him and your future, and you feel a lot better heading into the 2020